Which will you assemble, fantasy heroes and beasts, or Star Trek characters and technology? Thanks for joining me at Tantrum House Studio D. I'm Melissa Delp. Fantasy Realms and Star Trek Missions are set collection card drafting games for 2 to 6 players. They're designed by Bruce Glasgow and published by Wiz Kids. Now, they sent me these copies to review. Fantasy Realms was published in 2017, and the new Star Trek Missions is a re-implementation of it. The basic gameplay is the same in both games, although Missions does add in some new stuff that I'll explain later in the video. You start with a hand of cards, and on your turn you draw a card either from the deck or the discard. Then you discard a card. You're trying to find cards that combo together for scoring. Some combinations will increase the value of your cards, but others could actually reduce your score. When a certain number of cards are in the discard area, the game ends, and you calculate your score based on the cards in your hand. The gameplay is pretty simple. You draw a card and discard a card. But deciding what to draw and discard, now that's where it can be tough. Which combos do you pursue? Do you hold on to a card that doesn't really help you much, but you suspect could be really good for another player? Sometimes I wish I could keep every card in my hand. Or I hope that a card I discarded earlier will still be available later in the game. Now, I've played a lot of Fantasy Realms, and I usually add in the expansion, The Cursed Horde. The expansion adds extra suits of cards and cursed items, which are kind of like action cards. Now, Star Trek Missions doesn't have item cards, but it does have a separate deck of mission cards. During setup, you draw 5 regular galaxy cards and 2 mission cards for a hand of 7 cards. The mission cards only have scoring text. They don't have suits or other attributes. When you draw a card at the beginning of your turn, you can choose to draw 2 mission cards from the deck instead of 1 card from the discard or 1 card from the galaxy deck. You'll have to discard 2 cards though at the end of your turn. And you can't stack up on missions. You have to have 1 or 2 mission cards in your hand. So, as a fan of Star Trek, I've enjoyed playing missions. It's fun to see beloved characters and how their scoring interacts. Like Lwaxana Troi scoring more with Deanna Troi in Captain Picard. There are even holodecks and holograms. And of course, Meddlesome Q makes an appearance. The first time I played Missions, it took a little bit of time to process how the scoring works. If you're not paying attention, you can think, oh, I need a green symbol, this card has one, I'm good. But most of the cards are actually looking for specific specialties, life forms, and affiliations. Those designations are on the left side of the cards, and you have to read what type they are, and not just look at the icons. Now, I enjoy both games. I like the ease of play. It takes about 20 minutes to play, so they're quick. There's also a mix of luck and strategy. You have to decide which scoring paths to pursue. And as you become more familiar with the cards, you'll be able to gauge the likelihood of making certain combinations and which cards have a lot of scoring possibilities. For Star Trek Missions, I could see experienced players diving into the missions deck to find specific missions. Fantasy Realms has several cards that can score a ton of points under the right conditions. An extra 70, 100, even 150. Although I haven't seen someone get a 7-card run yet. Those high point cards are hard to pull off, but when it happens, the game can feel a little swingy. Now, I haven't found any cards in Star Trek Missions that have that big of a point swing. I definitely recommend Star Trek Missions for fans of Star Trek The Next Generation. I definitely had fond memories of certain episodes when I saw the cards, like the hologram James Moriarty. If I'm not playing with Star Trek fans, though, I'd bring out the original Fantasy Realms. I think the card design is easier to understand, and there's not quite as much iconography to process. But either way, I do recommend these games for when you want something quick that has a mixture of strategy and luck. They're also great for when you need something that plays more than 4 players. So, which game interests you more? The original Fantasy Realms or Star Trek Missions? Let me know in the comments.